Right, hello YouTube. Welcome to something a little new. So you might be going, Doug, where's From the Depths and the other game I played that I can't remember the name of. Super Robot Wars. They're on hold temporarily. Not for a long time, just for this week. There was meant to be some episodes last week. There was a bit of a recording mishap. The volume was set to 0 for the mic. So we got the whole episode, but I'm just completely silent during them. I am sorry about that. I had planned to, like, record over them. To sort of salvage something, but honestly I don't think it's worth the time it would take to do that. However, I want to do something a little bit new. I want to do something a bit different. I want to do some Factorio. I've been enjoying that recently, and I figured, you know what, let's do a playthrough for the channel, or at least a bit of one. You know, might only end up being a few episodes and then I stop it, but we'll see how it goes. See if you guys enjoy it. For those who don't know, it is about building a factory to try and... Well, normally it is to try and build a rocket. In this case, we've got some mods that are going to extend that a little bit. I haven't got the full space exploration one because that's a little bit much for me. I struggle with scaling up that big. But hopefully the way this mod pack works will get me a bit of practice in that. Maybe we'll do space exploration later down the line. So, I'm going to leave everything as normal apart from tech tree enabled because it really doesn't make any difference. Leave it on default. We do have a mod that makes the resource patches unlimited, so we don't have to move around as much. I just don't enjoy that part of the game, so we play with them on infinite and we just expand when we need more output. So yes, the basics: you crash landing on this planet, go build yourself a way off. We'll have creative mode on. We won't be using it much. It'll only be if we need it, if something goes wrong. Okay. That's the help window from one of the mods. So, crash the chip, salvage a few bits and pieces from it. If you hold control and then left click, you'll pull stuff out of an inventory without having to open it. Saves a bit of time. This is a click heavy game, so anything you can do to save clicks is worth it for your risks in the long run, trust me. To give a brief overview of what we've got mod wise, so we know what's a bit different from the base game. We've got a bunch of vehicles like this chain gunner tank here. Nanobots for really early blueprinting and stuff. You do need some materials to do it, but it's a nice quick way to get things constructed, like en masse if we need to like copy something like 20 times or whatever. Third level indicator, we've got programmable vehicles. Exactly what it sounds like. Whether we use them or not, I don't know, but the mining vehicles themselves are useful early game. We've got the space, I think it's space expansion. It's like the earlier sort of expanded endgame mod. We're basically going to try and finish it for the series. That's going to be our sort of goal, so we'll need to build quite a lot of resources. We've got some things like LTN, which is a logistics train network. Let's just automate them a bit more. We have something else that's vaguely similar. I don't know where it is on the tech tree. I'll go over it when we see it, I guess. There we have some vehicles. There's another one. Flame tank. A little bit of Warhammer stuff in here. Stuck some of that in. Thank you, King Joe, for making those. Yeah, we have an earlier version, or did that actually fail when we don't have that anymore? I thought that was one of the ones that was still working. Maybe we don't. I was going to say we have steam-powered construction robots. We don't. I guess that was one of the ones that failed. I had a heck of a time getting this working. The ultimate modular reactor. Yeah, no, I had a heck of a time getting this mod pack working. I'd say mod pack, I made it myself, but there were some issues with lag and things and memory usage and all sorts of weirdness. Thanks. Plutonium energy. We've got some alternatives for our high-end power. We've got the advanced centrifuge. Yeah, these are the bits we'll need to make for the spaceship. They are quite expensive, and we've got some things like aircraft and ballistic missiles. Should be fun. But we're sticking to something that is reasonably stock. It's not... Again, it's not like a vanilla plus, but we're also not going too far off the beaten track. So, the basics. We're going to need material. Well, the easiest way to get those is mining drills. The electric ones we can't make yet. The burner ones, which run on fuel, we can't make yet either because we need some iron. Now to make iron, we're going to need fuel. So I think we need to mine up some fuel. So I'm going to pop this burner down on a coal patch. Fill it up with the one piece of wood we get. And boom. That's coal. So we'll let that fill up for a little bit. What else are we going to need? We're going to need iron. So there is some iron here. You can mine by hand. It is very slow. As you can see with this rock, although these take a bit longer to mine anyway. We'll grab it though, the stone will be useful, and it's got a bit of coal in it. Yeah, as you can see, Given we need 9 just for one of these miners, we're going to need a lot of them. Not really viable. This is where the sort of automation part of the game will come in. That mining drill has probably already burned up its one piece of wood. But I want to get the furnace running to make another one. Once we have 2, we can fully automate fuel production. I'll show you a little trick on that. I'm not an expert at this game by any means, but I know a few little tips and tricks. Yeah, and then he mined up 2 pieces of coal before it ran out. But as you can see, the coal lasts a lot longer. Actually has a fuel value there. You might have also noticed it has a pollution value because, yeah, you can see it from this little red square on the map. Your equipment does pollute. And if your pollution happens to overlap with the natives' nests, they start to get mad at you. We'll call this YouTube. YouTube, I guess. So yes, one of the things we'll have to also deal with later down the line is the natives. By deal with, I mean they'll try and eat you and your base, so you gotta shoot them. There will be no negotiation. Another one of these. We're going to go take it over to the iron patch. Or another one of these, I should say. Fuel in there, and it'll start mining for us. Now, we don't even have a chest to put it in yet, so we'll build a furnace so it's got something to go into. So let's stick it on my hotbar because we need more of those. Coal out, and there. There we go, we've automated. We've done the first little bit of automation for the playthrough. Automatically mining and smelting iron plates. So we have a bunch of those, we can start doing a bit more stuff with them. We're probably going to try and skip over the burner phase as much as possible, so a lot of the early equipment like this needs fuel to run directly, which is not unusable, but it gets annoying very quickly, having to refuel things constantly, so I'm going to skip over that as fast as possible, honestly. Now that we have 3 miners, we've got a spare. So this miner will dump things out at its output. However, we put another drill at its output, feeding back into it. Once this fills up, it'll dump fuel into the other drill, and the other one will start running. And as you can probably see, they mine fuel faster than they use it. So a nice early way of getting coal is to basically just have a handful of them in a loop, just fueling each other, and then hold control, click and drag over them, and you pull the coal out. And because they again mine slower than mine faster than they use it, there'll always be a bit of surplus and it'll still be running. If it stops entirely, you can just stick a single bit of fuel back in it to get it running again. So we can shift our iron furnace now. Now there are 2 main resources. It's not just iron, there's also copper. So we'll want to get mining for copper up running at some point, but iron is just generally more heavily used early game. Oh, that's another mod that I recommend. Honestly, I just recommend everyone uses that, called Even Distribution. I know it does other stuff, but the main thing it lets you do is hold control and click, and you can just automatically put stuff in. Or in this case, accidentally take things out. Yeah, see, control click dragging, also get the thing out. But yeah, it automatically will, like, balance things. So if you have, like, 15 coal and 3 furnaces, you just do control click with the coal, drag over, and it'll put 5 in each. It is a huge time saver. And we've got enough for some more drills. I believe this... Does this furnace actually burn fast enough? Yeah, it burns fast enough that's actually idling sometimes. So... This will not be a permanent setup, but for now... There. Like that. There we go. And that should be running permanently. The furnace should be running permanently, and therefore not having any downtime where it's not doing anything. Yeah, it's actually slightly too quick. It'll clog up eventually. It'll do for now. Like I say, we're early game. We should be able to make, yes, a chest. That does exactly what it sounds like it'll do, but if you mine into it, it'll stick stuff directly straight in. I guess that's kind of obvious now I think about it, but... And we'll want that for stone. We might as well do now while I'm thinking about it. Coal in there. Chuck a lot of coal in there. I'll mine stone for us. You might have also noticed we have this in our inventory. Yeah, we're just carrying that around. No big deal. Yes, this is a mining vehicle. This is from one of the mods. Drive it around on the resource patches. It'll mine. if we use programmable vehicles, we can basically tell it to go and automatically find patches of resources to mine from. It's pretty cool. It's not a mod I've done a lot of. I might do a little bit for this series. And we've used up all this fuel. Yeah, it is a bit fuel hungry. Honestly, though, what I like these for most early game, which is not so much of a... Yeah, if you see the trees over there, it's actually probably the quickest way to clear forests. Definitely right at the start anyway, and those big rocks, actually. Yeah, we'll just happily mine most things in this path. We're going to leave it there for now, but we'll come back to that later. Yeah, as you can see, one of them ran out, but the other one just refueled it before it mattered. Have about 105 stone. Yeah, so as you can see, once you start automating stuff, it's like far, far faster than you can ever do it by hand. We've got 31 iron. Let's set up another iron one, because again, you need a lot more iron early on than you do copper. Pull the coal out of theirs as well, and then split it across all of them. I won't put these on my hotbar because we're not going to be using them for too much longer. We're actually not too far off the point where we can start electrifying things. Because you really can skip most of the early burner phase, and honestly, I just recommend you do. You can skip it quite quickly if you try. So, now we've got 2 of those. Another furnace. Some copper mining. Now, copper is mined exactly the same way as iron. That would help if we had fuel, and I'm going to try and make a couple more of these because we're using still quite a bit of fuel. So, you need it more for later game stuff. Usually, once circuit boards start getting involved, then you start to use a lot of it. I guess this video will kind of be a little bit of a guide for Factorio as well on this series. Like, again, at least as far as I know it, I am usually good up to about sort of the point where you start to get towards robots, and then I have not played quite so much. So that's kind of where I'm at skill otherwise, I guess. Right. So we can now start to automate things because we have, as well as these little burner drills. We have electric drills, and electric drills only need power. Power production is usually much more efficient to do in one spot and then run out to stuff than it is to just put everything as burner. So, and it's much less polluting usually, I think. How do we do that? Well, our basic power source is steam generation. We're going to need a few things for that. We're going to need water first. So we'll start with an offshore pump. That will take water out of the sea, or out of this little pond. You don't have to worry about running out. And run it to our machines. We also want some pipes. We're going to need these throughout the playthrough, so I'm going to put them there. We'll run a pipe up to about there. That should be fine. And we're going to want boilers for steam. So the boilers will use fuel and water, and they will produce steam. And if we run that steam through the steam engines, we'll get power out. So they now have water in them, as you can see on the right there. But we need fuel. So what we're going to want to do, we're still going to want more of those burner drills. So we'll go collect the iron that we've been building up. This might be a tiny bit of a slow playthrough, just because of the nature of the game, but I'll try to keep things moving along reasonably smoothly. Yep. I don't think I'm going to be doing any of those big YouTuber like 500 hour like things, edited videos. Like that's quite a lot. Was it 500 for the space exploration one that Dushington did? I think that's right. Go watch it. It's fun. Like that's an example of a really good Factorio player. There are other ones as well, but I find this fun to watch. Right, so we're going to need, like I say, steam engines and fuel. And we're going to want some of those electric drills as well if we're going to, what do you call it? If we're going to start mining fuel automatically. So we'll check that bit of iron we'll end up with in there. No, I guess we can't. I'll kick around our inventory for now. Right, so yes, we'll do the steam turbine. Now, each boiler will feed 2 steam turbines, steam engines, so we're going to have a little bit of surplus power for a bit, or surplus steam for a bit, I should say, even. Normally how I would set them up is I would leave a gap between each turbine, which generates, sorry, I keep saying turbines, there are steam turbines, we're not at those yet. It won't be for quite a while actually on those, but I usually would leave a pipe between every steam engine, and you'll see why when I get to actually wiring it up. Speaking of wiring, we need wood. We have a little bit of it. You get it by mining the trees. I actually have a mod set up to let us grow more wood, but I believe you can also just use iron later on, I think. Am I remembering that right? So electric poles. Maybe not. Oh, maybe that's another thing. But yeah, we'll mine some of these dead trees. You will actually kill trees with pollution. If you generate enough, I think... Oh, crikey, we are generating a lot. Okay, that's faster than I realised it was. Yeah, the pollution will spread over time, and trees can absorb some of it, but will eventually get overwhelmed. So, if you're struggling for biters, you can sort of surround yourself with trees to make it a little easier at the start. And some electrical poles. Got to run the power out to places. It doesn't just magically power the whole base. So what I normally do is I put poles there and between the turbines, and that's why I leave the space. And I would also normally run a pipe across, and that will run to all the other steam turbines we have in a row. Not required, just how I do it. Now, in terms of actually something to run on them, we're going to want some of those drills, because I'm going to set up fuel first. The power will be doing the sole job of running the power. These other ones. So, electric drills. These are a little bit bigger than the burner ones. Away temporarily. You do have day-night as well, as you've probably just seen, so it has get darker. But we also see the mines have a square around them, and that shows where they'll mine. Try not to put them here where it's overlapping, because it's just a nuisance trying to sort it. It's not impossible at all, but I'm going to leave those there for now. Wait. Let's set them up like that for reasons we'll show in a sec. Grab some fuel and just make sure everything's stocked up. Yeah, that the coal has actually just run out. Or the copper rather has just run out, which is exactly why I hadn't done this. I think, yeah, as I say, I believe the drills use up fuel faster than the furnaces do. But then, they're not very efficient in general. The burner mining drills, they really are a replace these as soon as you can type of deal. I'm going to run power out to it. If you hold the click button, if you hold the left mouse button down when you're placing the poles, you'll automatically place them at the max gap between them. The way I normally rig up poles is to do one like that at the end of the row of drills. And then in the middle of every other one, I would put a power pole. This tends to be a reasonably efficient way of doing it. Now, we don't have to worry too much because we haven't got anything on it yet, but we go. Now we'll just rig it up like that. Next thing we need is conveyor belts. Exactly what they sound like. They have two sides. They can hold an item on either side. And depending on where you put stuff onto them, that will affect how they're loaded. Put some coal in there in the boiler. Starts generating steam. Steam things start running. See how much power we're generating compared to how much we're using. So we're only using 180 kilowatts out of 1.8 megawatts. So we're at about a 10th production. 10th capacity. And mining drills are running. And as you can see, they'll spit out resources every now and then. And our belt's working as well. It'll stop once it gets to the end. Stuff doesn't overflow by default. I don't even know if there's any mods that add that. There might be. But yeah. So logically, if we connect this belt, probably going to need more iron. Yeah, so we can expand that when we can. We can run that all the way down to here. We could put fuel straight into the boilers and they'll fuel themselves. And that will be automated electricity. And then we can start replacing all of these burner drills. So I'm not tempted to set up more for a bit of extra early iron production, but I think we'll be okay for now. I think I actually will do that. 4 more of those, 2 more of those. Not because I want to be running on burners, but because it'll speed up our getting going. And that can be important because the biters will evolve over time as well. Yes, that's the other thing with biters, that not only will they attack us, they'll get worse the longer we leave them and the worse the pollution gets. So we'll have to be trying to keep up with our weaponry and defences. Which we have my pistol right now, and that is it. So we're going to want to improve that. Oh, shoot, let's get to that one we can. Yay! Save. Save regularly. Save regularly. Dear God, save regularly. You will regret it if you don't. Right. Belts. I'm going to get this belt ran out. I will try and get this in straight away, because it will get us off to a good start. You want to leave a gap of 1 between the two, and you'll see why in a minute. So far all our machinery has been dumping directly into whatever we want it to go into. Here we're going to need to do something a bit different. I'm kind of assuming everyone here is completely new to this game, so if you already know Factorio, don't worry, I'm not being patronising. I'm assuming some of the people here won't. So, we will need to insert items into the boiler. Do we do that? Well, we use an inserter. There are burner inserters that use fuel. We skip those if we can. We're going to go straight to an electric one. Now, this icon means there's no power. Like the drills, the electrical poles have like an area around them, but in this case it's how much they power. Put that there, it gets power. There's coal in. There we go. Our steam boiler will fuel itself automatically now. I'm going to make another one and start getting this second one rigged up. And we ran out of iron. We can get that one up and running in a minute. We don't need to, but they will automatically throttle to their needs, so not wasting much if they are generating too much power. Usually you don't build power to a requirement unless you're specifically trying to run something big. You usually just go, like, oh, we need some more power, let's expand the setup. And maybe really skilled players do, but I just tend to expand when they need it for power. It works well enough. Oh, I should put that on the hotbar, because we have to use a lot of those. The reason I'm putting them in these places is because I'm kind of used to setting them up in roughly a specific way. There we go. Power's automated. Let's start automating some of that mining, shall we? We'll start with iron, I think. And we're also going to want some more electrical poles, because we've got to reach all the way over there. We've only got the little ones at the moment, so there are 2 bigger sizes. I actually don't think there's that many other ways to like transport power. I know there was a mod that added the like train wagon that had batteries in it, but I think even with mods it's usually still cable power. There we go. What are we short on now? Wood. Let's go do what I said about earlier. Let's take the drill out for that forest nearby and chop a bit of it up. Not going to be great for the pollution, but we're in a desert anyway, so we actually might be starting in a slightly harder spot because the pollution won't really get absorbed anyway here. I think it's good for speedrunners though, because the rocks, apparently the rocks are good for both speedrunning and also for hard difficulties for surviving the early stuff with fighters. Yeah, this thing's not fast. That's what I like the high tier ones for, but given how early on we are, this is still faster than doing it by hand. A lot faster. Let's chop down these dead trees at the edge for now. Trees anyway. For now. Didn't need that much more anyway, so. Right. Let's grab the materials we've got. And hopefully that'll be enough to get going with sending these iron mines off. And we'll start, what we'll do first, before we really do anything much else, is we'll get a proper iron smelting setup going, with a basic iron smelter. It's another design that's one I've done a few times and works quite nicely. It's not that complicated. Actually, no, we should probably get science going. We've got time to do it this episode. We're going to get science going. Now, this is where I'm going to cheat a tiny bit. This is something I do because I like to build things manually. Vegetable cheats, crafting speed, way higher. There's no way to increase it normally in-game, as far as I know, so... Just means I don't have to wait forever. I know that some purists will complain at me for that, because they'd be like, oh, you're supposed to automate it. It's like, I know, but, like, I don't know how much of everything I'm going to need. Like, it just makes things a little easier. But, yeah, obviously you can automate a lot of stuff like that. So, lab. Lab lets you unlock technology. We want... Brain. We wanted something. Yes. So, to make this smelter, we're going to want to be able to reach across one belt and onto another. Now, we can't do that by default with these inserters. They will just take things from one square onto another. We're going to need the long-handled ones. These ones, long inserters. Get to that, we need to do logistics first, which will unlock some new options for the belts and, yes, some larger wooden electrical poles. These are modded, I should mention, these are not stock. So, we've got to do that. What do we need for that research? We need, it takes 15 seconds to research each pack, and we need 20 of these red packs. Now, we only have enough for 5. What do we need? Iron and copper. Also for the iron gears, which you just make out of 2 iron plates, and copper plates. Yes, this does technically give us a little bit of an edge on like the biters because we can get going slightly faster, but again, run that way. So that'll just run in the background. I'm actually going to make a second one. So we're not crippling slow. You'll want quite a few labs by the later game, but for now, on those. They do need electricity, so we did have to get this going beforehand. In fact, you can see they're using up about as much power as the rest of the base at the moment. Let's get this going while we do that. Also going to want some belts. So, 9 drills, 4 of those that way, and I said the way I tend to do these, anything we can get another one on the end there, so we'll expand this if it's going to be one longer in the future. There and there, skip one, there and there, there we go, and that will leave us with enough space to walk around. Yeah, I guess we can do that. Somewhat neat. Those will be running now, but they'll just jump onto the ground, so we need a belt. Pro tip, try to build as little on resource patches as you can, apart from the drills and the belts and power and whatnot. It's like a bad newbie trap that you end up building half your base on top of a resource patch early on, and then you have to move it later. It's not really a newbie trap, but it's something that newbie players can fall into sometimes. Right. Now what do we need for our actual thing? So we're going to need more fuel. I'm going to make some of these. We're going to be able to mine a bit faster with this. There we go. I've got 3 of them now. However, it's like, well, if we're running it all the way down to here, how do we get it up to here? I mean, we'd have to turn around here and go all the way around here. It would be a pain, right? That's what our next research will help us with, but we're not quite there on that one yet. More iron. So for the moment, we might actually store some of this iron. So this is one of the modded things we've got, is mini loaders. They were a concept, loaders were actually a concept that the devs considered at one point. They eventually didn't go with them. They felt they were a bit too strong. I really like them, and the fans clearly agree because there's a lot of them. Loaders will skip the inserters, having to go like da-da-da-da-da, and I'll just load things straight into whatever inventory they're connected to. They probably are a little strong because of this, but I really don't care. No, inserters still have their usage. Inserters are more compact if you've got 2 machines right next to each other and you want things moved across. They do still work perfectly fine. In this case, we're just going to use them for compactness, time, etc., and just because I like them. We're done with logistics. Long inserters, we'll need another 20 research packs. And yes, a big part of your factory's production is going to be going into making these resource packs. I am also starting to get a little concerned about the biters. Our pollution cloud is spreading fast, so what we're going to do... No, we can't do that yet. That'll have to be next episode. Okay. We will tempt fate and not worry about it just yet. What we will need, though, is... So if we're going to go from here to here, we need the coal, because we need it for smelting. We're going to build a splitter. We're also going to build one of these for later. We get 2 of them. I'll show you what those are for later. What a splitter does is it splits the belt into 2. It'll distribute the materials evenly on either side, and you can tell it to filter things or prioritise a certain input or output. That we'll get to later. If we do that, half the coal going in will go this way, half will go that way. Now, for those who remember, this is on our generators, right? If our generators go down, that could be really bad. So what we will do is we will prioritise it. We actually will do the priority early on. We prioritise what? Right. You can press the Alt key to show like extra displays on certain things, like where they're going or whatever. That means that if both these belts are suddenly empty, it will send items to the right side first before anywhere else. So that will mean if we're using loads of fuel on this side, it means we won't accidentally ever run this belt dry. This one will always be filled up first. However, as for our smelter, I think we're out of time for now. So I'll call this first episode here. Hopefully I had fun. Any feedback in the comments, greatly appreciated. Whether you want me to keep going with this, I will, again, try and get back to the other series, but I want to do something different for a bit. I like Factorio, so yeah. See you guys in the next one. Goodbye.